get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show.
I was speaking with a few friends yesterday about the younger generation. I'm not sure about the States, but in the UK, certainly, there is more availability at quite a young age for, they're still classed as children. So under 16s, under 18s, to start the path of transitioning, and drugs and you know, and having that support, medical support to transition. And a really good friend of mine is actually going through something really hard, because her child transitioned, now 5 years on, wanted to transition started at 16, actually, so quite young.
Yeah.
And now is regretting it and is actually hitting back at her parents, to say, well, why did you let me do it? But at that point, the parents couldn't have been more supportive, because and it's so hard. It's so hard to know what is the right way to support a young person. So if you could go back in time, what advice would you have given to your younger self?
Okay, so I know what that fear is like at a young age, and like, okay, what's going to happen with me, and my circumstances where I didn't have, an environment that was accepting that if I were to come out. So I stayed closeted almost, almost until, until March of this year, to be honest. And I think I would have told the younger version of myself is, you always have time. I think sometimes what happens with people transitioning is it needed to have started last year or the year before. And they needed to be on hormones, and like there becomes this ultra like comparison trap, honestly, between people who are transitioning, that, well, this person started hormones at this age and now they've been on it for this long, so these are the results I should see, and if you don't see those results, then there's something wrong with you, or you need to do this or that. That's not the case. Everyone's physiology is completely different than one another's. I think, like I stated earlier, just give yourself time. There's so much, like, this is such a long journey. I have a friend of mine. She says you're never done transitioning. You're never done, with the medication or learning or becoming yourself. So give yourself grace through this. Give yourself the ability to say, okay, if you're over 18, I think that's a different conversation than if you're under 18. I don't know what should be right, what should be legal. I don't get into that conversation when it comes to minors. I just know I started when I was 37, and by transgender standards, that's old. That's really old. And
that's a long time.
Yeah.
To feel that you're in the wrong body.
There was times where like I stated earlier, part of my weight loss journey, where I just became so miserable. And then like I would set this fence around my thoughts, like, well, I would never be accepted at this weight or this size or things like that. And so like, I would get depressed and eat more, or, do things, and just because I was a big emotional eater. And I would do things just to kind of derail my own process.
Well, that resonates with me. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something to hide behind, I think.
Exactly.
every time I've lost weight, it's when I've been happier, and every time I put it on, it's where it gives me somewhere to hide.
Yeah. And I, even like with that journey, like it's not been perfect. You know, there's been times where like, it's like, oh, binge eat or, you know, something like that, or it's late night and I need a good snack or something. Um, but I've always like, okay, that happened. Let's acknowledge it. And then let's figure out what we got to do to get back on track. And honestly, I would give anyone who's considering transition or making that journey, see a counselor. I started with a counselor about 2 years ago. And I told them, it's like, this is what's going on in my life. It's like, I don't know where this is going to head, but I just need someone to talk to about this. And so I did, and really that opened up doors, and it allowed me to shift my mindset and my thinking. And I was at a counselor for several months before I even started down the hormone treatment. And so much of this transition is it's not physical, it's mental. And it's accepting yourself and realizing that you can be happy and that you can be the person that you've, for some, including myself, that always knew that you were on the inside. I dealt with dysphoria and dysmorphia extremely bad. And even to a point where in transition, I wouldn't even want to look at myself in the mirror. And here I was, the skinniest I'd ever been in my life, and thought, by most standards, looked pretty good, as presenting male, and I couldn't look in the mirror. It would literally sicken me. And I was sharing with someone, it's like, no, you don't understand what it's like now after the surgery, and just finding myself, to be able to look in the mirror and feel content with oneself. It's like I told someone, I was joking, because I like to kind of poke fun at myself sometimes. Like, listen, I'm not trying to win any beauty contest. I'm just trying to be able to look in the mirror and be happy and find beauty in myself. And I can honestly say that I do. And that's been worth every moment, every negative thought and overcoming, every type of conversation that may have been tough over the years, just to get to this point where I feel that self-acceptance. And that means the world to me right there.
I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play